They didn't want to complain. They didn't want to have to chase up something you should have just got right. So we flipped that model completely and we fixed the problem before the customer even knows it exists. Keeyu is like an immune system. You don't think about it when it's working, but it's constantly defending the experience. We're not trying to re-educate people to shop. We're taking away something they never wanted in the first place.
Hey, it's Nathan Bush, or Bushy, joining you from the land of the Turrbal people here in Brisbane, Australia. I became really interested in today's guest when I came across their website, and the idea really resonated with me straight away. They were claiming not just to fix customer service, but to prevent it. In an age where AI is claiming to be able to process tickets at the speed of light and to be able to automate a lot of the customer service, this company stood out to me because they wanted to prevent customer service, get to the root of the problems, not just expedite the mess at the end of it. And I think that's really interesting. And I think it follows up well on our episode recently with Emily Elvey, where we dove into customer service really for the first time. And we looked at what makes a great customer service team and how to run it efficiently. This episode today is a great build on that. Jevon LaRue is the co-founder and the CEO of Keeyu, an AI-powered operations platform that fixes fulfillment, payment, and delivery issues before customers even notice that there's something wrong. Not only is Jevon the co-founder of this startup, he actually has a really great background in retail, leading brands such as Surf Stitch and PE Nation. So he knows the ins and outs of what makes a large-scale e-commerce business. Jevon saw firsthand how disconnected systems and manual processes were, and that they were burning out CX and ops teams at the same time as having a pretty rubbish customer experience. So he, along with his co-founders, built Keeyu to change that. And he's already working with some really big names like Decuba, PHP Labs, and Budgie Smugglers to change how they think about customer service from a reactive to a proactive approach. In this conversation, we get really practical around what this means, and we talk about what preventive customer service actually looks like in action, the kinds of tasks that you can expect ops teams never to have to do again thanks to AI and automations, how to measure the impact of problems that might never happen again if you fix them, and what the future of proactive operations looks like as AI agents start quietly running e-commerce in the background by diagnosing problems before they become significant. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I want to say a huge thank you to our sponsors, Shopify and Klaviyo, who have supported Add to Cart all through the year. Thank you for powering the Add to Cart community and helping us bring you these amazing interviews every week. All right, let's get into it. Here is my conversation with Jevon LaRue, co-founder and CEO of Keeyu. Jevon, welcome to Add to Cart.
Hey, Nathan, great to see you, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I am very much looking forward to this. We had an interesting pre-chat where I had to ask you, I was like, look, I know we've had a few conversations before this, but I've never had to actually ask you, how do I pronounce your name correctly? Is it Jevon? Is it Jevon? Is there some other version of it because I'm a bogan and, I want to make sure I get it right. And then you said you've come up with a whole new realization that there's a whole bunch of people saying it in a way that you'd never heard before.
Yeah. So there's this thing called Jevon's paradox, and that the AR world seems to be grabbing onto, that goes back to the 1800s. And they've been talking a lot about it now. And it's sort of weird when you've heard your name one way and then people in Silicon Valley are saying, oh, Jevon's paradox, and how important it is to the world of AR, even though it goes back to the 1800s. So yeah, it's good to hear my name pronounced correctly.
There we go. And your Silicon Valley bros have just changed the way your name's pronounced for everyone else.
Yeah, crazy.
Now, we have so much to cover today because you've got a rich history in retail, from your first job of selling door-to-door for Billabong through to managing the teams at PE Nation and Surf Stitch, through to developing Keeyu, which we're going to talk about today. Quite a journey there.
Oh, yeah. And thrown into that a bit of coffee franchising and, so like a whole bunch of different stuff, right? But yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I actually started my career as a professional surfer in the mid-90s. Yeah, mid-90s, competing on the world tour for like a bunch of years. And that sort of led to Billabong. And yeah, from being a Billabong sales agent in the 2000s to building AI agents for e-commerce operations, it's quite a journey, and with a few stops along the way with different adventures. And that's the good part about building something ground up from nothing is it's not an unfamiliar place. I've sort of had to do it a few times, and it's good fun.
Yeah, wild. Do you still surf?
Not as much as my son.
You pass the gene on.
Yeah, not as much as him. He gets in the water way more than I
Love
do.
it. Well, I want to start where you are today with Keeyu, and then I've got no doubt that we're going to hear some stories from your background as well weaved in there. But
Yeah.
when we were chatting, I thought this was fascinating because recently we've had Emily Elvey on the show. And for the first time, we really dug into customer service, and she gave us a great perspective on that and how to do that effectively, how to measure it, and how to make sure customers get what they want and you keep your team happy, especially over peak season. It really caught my interest when we were talking because if you bring up the Keeyu website, and anyone following along at home, Keeyu as in Keeyu, bring up the website, and the first thing you see is help desk managers complaints. Keeyu prevents them. And it's a really interesting concept, one that I hadn't seen out there before. What do you mean by that?
Before I dive into that, let's maybe sort of like frame up the crux of the problem we're solving first. So let's just take us back to where a consumer is. And, we've all been there. We order a birthday gift online. It never arrives. There's an email, no reply. Make a phone call, no pickup. Chat with a bot, no resolution. And finally, we give up. And, for them, it's a hassle. For the brand, it's a lost customer and a hit to trust. And this happens millions and millions of times a day, right? Each delayed or missing order is a small crack in customer loyalty. Behind the scenes, CX teams are buried in where's my order tickets, chasing data across 5-7 siloed systems. And that result is always one thing, right? Late deliveries, missed refunds, wasted hours, frustrated teams. So in every single one of those issues costs time, money, and repeat customers. So really to hit your question, I guess today, most customer service tools are built to do one thing, react to complaints. A ticket comes in, it's because of a late delivery, a missing item, a refund delay. And the help desk is really built to manage tickets so that customer service teams can triage them, right?
Clear tickets as quickly as possible.
Clear tickets as quickly as possible. And you measure it on first response time, resolution time, customer satisfaction, because you're fixing something that they didn't want. They didn't want to complain. They didn't want to have to chase up something you should have just got right. So we flipped that model completely and we fixed the problem before the customer even knows it exists. So if a parcel hasn't left the warehouse, we catch it and push it out. If a payment fails, we retry it. If an item is out of stock, we place it on back order. If a return is stuck, we flag it for resolution. So sort of instead of managing these complaints, we're preventing them. Because if you fix the ops issue at the root, there is no complaint. And that's proactive e-commerce, and that's the difference. And it means teams spending less time firefighting and customers never have to ask again, where is my order?
So let's dive into one of those, maybe pick where is my order. So I think that's a very common problem is that maybe dispatch times get blown out, which leads to longer lead times or longer delivery times for a customer. So instead of it leaving the warehouse within 24 hours, we've had Black Friday, whatever it is, it's blown out to 7 days or the item's not available where we thought it was. How do you catch that? And how are you catching that the WMS or other systems aren't catching?
Yeah, so we're in a unique position because what we are is an orchestration layer, right? We're not a point solution. And the way orders run today is they captured on a storefront, they process through a payment portal, they go through an ERP, a WMS, pick, pack, ship, carrier integrations, deliver and return. And each of those point solutions are doing a good job performing their function. But they're not designed to detect if an order doesn't push through, is held up. And so what we do is we connect all those systems together into one centralized platform. And we use the customer promise, which is order before 12, pay express, ship same day, get tomorrow. And we use that customer promise and work backwards along every single touch point and say, oh, this order hasn't progressed to where it should be at this point. And then we flag that in the centralized platform in a very clear, visible way. And that then is either red, as in it's broken the service level, or it's amber, it's about to, or it's blue, it's moving through according to plan. And when it hits amber or red, then kicks off a workflow that's associated to resolving that issue that our AI agent then takes on and runs through the resolution all the way through. So Let's use an out of stock, for example, and lost in transit, for example.
Mhm.
We identify that that order hasn't moved between different stages for a certain amount of time, and then that is likely a lost in transit. And then we start the process of finding alternative stock, placing an order, putting it onto Express so the customer gets it next day, shipping it out to the customer, sending them a notification, hey, your order's been lost in transit and you're going to get it tomorrow. It's on a different tracking number. Yeah, it is. Sorry about that, but we picked it up before you did. And then it goes through the process of sorting that out with AusPost. So fully automated where the agent is taking on updating systems, communicating and facilitating resolution.
So when you hit that amber or red status, is it effectively doing two jobs depending on the scenario? It's one, getting ahead of it with customers to give them communication on where you're at to kind of prevent that them adding another ticket through email or chat or phone. It's like they're kept in the loop. But is it also then triggering something in the ops to find a solution as well?
Correct. So an out of stock might have 7 ways to be resolved, and it then determines the best course of action and then runs that resolution through all the way to the end. Sometimes things are resolved without the customer knowing. Sometimes the customer is involved. Sometimes teams are in the loop. Sometimes they're not in the loop. So it really depends on the problem that the agent has to solve.
And are these all predetermined problems or scenarios with a retailer, and are they unique for each retailer?
They're all predetermined, and we do work with the retailers to ensure that their ops is well taken care of. So we've built an infrastructure that is plug and play, that we can easily onboard customers within 5 days. And that's taken a long time to get that because every retailer is unique. But there really is just a bunch of toolkits, if you want to call it, and you just drag and drop and you connect it all together. And then we do final sort of like customizations based on specific uniqueness per each retailer.
I wouldn't say it's a radical idea, but it's a different approach to proactive customer service that I haven't seen before, especially here in Australia.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with the idea? Where was the origins of Keeyu?
There's probably 2 parts to that. My co-founders and I met back in 2020 at PE Nation, and I was the CEO there, and Tracy was heading up customer service, and Tahir was heading up technology. And, Tracy had spent decades in customer service and e-commerce ops, and she had sort of worked out, just because of painful situations, that if she could fix the issue manually before it snowballed, well, then it just wouldn't become a complaint. And it wasn't until I moved on from that business and went into another one where there was a lot more pain. And Tracy came along and Tahir came along and I said, look, guys, we've got to fix this. Let's build some kind of system. And Tahir was like, well, why build a system for a company when we can build a solution for every e-commerce retailer in the world? Because Tracy had a unique insight that if you manually sift through all these systems and and she was manually sifting through all these systems, finding that failure, and then manually fixing it, which just took forever, right? She would work obscene hours. And then we were like, well, hang on a sec. Surely if we can find this issue using technology and then automate the resolution, it's saving teams an incredible amount of manual effort. But at the same time, putting businesses on the front foot because their customers will always get what they want on time as promised. And we all know the best customer service is if the customer never needs to talk to you, never needs to call, never needs to complain. It just works. And that's what we're building.
And this might be a silly question. Is it hard to build? Because I could imagine that has an orchestration layer in the middle of it all. And because you're working with clients like Dacuba, EHP Labs, Budgie Smuggler, everyone will have different systems from front end through to ERPs, through to warehouse management systems, through to shipping carriers, different data, different APIs. It sounds like an absolute nightmare of a problem to solve for me. How do you productize that?
I think we were probably a bit naive, went all in on this. And there were a few really smart people in e-commerce that, sold their business for hundreds of millions. And they're like, this can't work. It's just impossible. Everybody's business is different. And we're like, yeah, it is. But Tahir's a real genius. In fact, one of our customers said he's a wizard. And he came up with a way, I don't know, I'm not the technical co-founder, but he came up with a way to be able to build this, that you're tumbling all this data in a way that it washes up in a uniform sort of format. And we've got 8 engineers right now. 4 of them are onshore, 4 of them are offshore. A lot of building, really aggressive timelines to deliver on a very powerful roadmap. But it took time, and we built in the open. We onboarded our first customer 18 months ago, two of them, and then went to three. And then we kind of hit pause for 6 months while we built with them, and we're learning. We certainly didn't build a perfect product and then launch. We built in real time in users' hands every single week, making iterations. I remember when we brought in our third customer, the platform couldn't cope with the volume and it just froze. And Tahir had to go into like a radical rebuild and rebuild the platform ground up. But there's certainly a lot of magic he's done because, as you pointed out, one, we've built 50 plus integrations now, and we're heading towards 100 by the middle of next year. And each one of those have been systemized in a way that we can bring on these brands super fast and be able to connect all the points of data that we need to drive. And we've been able to find that data in a lot of unique ways, either through APIs, webhooks, even browser operator using agents, FTPs, just a bunch of different ways.
Awesome. So what's the process? So when you're speaking to a new retailer for the first time, I'm keen to understand what discovery looks like in terms of you needing to understand the tech, what integrations you already have, what you need to deliver, but then also from a customer perspective, what problems you're going to start with?
Yeah, so we're definitely not a product-led sales business. We are a sales-led business. And so there is a bunch of work that's done up front in the sales process, a discovery call, a customized demo, then a mutual action plan, and then a scoping call. But for the retailer, it's actually fairly painless. And we've built that in a way that it is about 3 to 4 hours of their time up front. And what we're looking for from them is three lots of information, yes. What are your API keys? How do we connect to all your systems? So we define what is your tech stack. So what storefront are you on? What ERP? What inventory management? What warehouse management system? What are your carrier integrations? Who are your carriers? Do you have marketplaces? Do you have ship from store, click and collect, multi-geo warehousing? Do you have a return solution? What's your help desk? So we gather all of the access details and credentials from that, and that takes about 1 to 2 hours depending on the retailer and their responsiveness. And then about another hour where we gather the customer promise, and that can vary between multi-geo, so or East Coast, West Coast, or Express, or per product, or we gather that information, and then we work with them around their workflows and determine what are the workflows that they want implemented. That's 3 to 4 hours of heavy lifting for them. We go off, we do about 5 days worth of work. If their tech stack matches the pre-built integrations that we have. If their tech stack doesn't match, it's about 10 or 15 days worth of work. And then we do an onboarding session with them, and they're off and running on day one.
Who's the ideal retailer? Like, who do you think this fits? Because obviously there are some retailers, especially in e-commerce, that are set up with a very typical tech stack, Shopify into Klaviyo, into a gorgeous out to a ship it, maybe. You know what I mean? Like pretty straightforward system. And then there's some that are very, very complicated. Where do you sit in the world?
Yes, that's a really good question. I mean, I've probably done 50 odd discovery calls over the last 3 months. And out of those, probably 5 or 10 were just not the right fit. And that was because their business didn't have the volume or the complexity of storefronts or the amount of integrations. And there is sort of a tipping point, but not just the complexity of their business model. It's also the mindset they have. We've got some retailers that were at the starter program and they didn't have a really complex business. But they said, hey, I'm growing fast and I don't want to have to scale with people. I'd rather scale with automation is one thing. I don't want to have to be putting out fires and deal with things reactively. So I'd like to have a system that is able to prevent complaints, keep my customers happy, keep them locked in. So there is a bit of a mindset, but we certainly, as you go up to the level of complexity, say Dakuba has, which is multi-geo, multi-fulfillment locations, pick and pack, ship from store, click and collect, same-day delivery, marketplaces. We really do an incredible job pulling that all together and just giving them this single, clear view of what's going on. But we got everything from retailers doing a couple hundred orders a week to doing tens of thousands of orders a week.
You were telling me about Clutch the other day. Tell me how they're using, because I think that's such an amazing story.
Yeah, Clutch is a great brand. I really enjoy working. Well, we all enjoy, our whole team enjoys working with Clutch because they're really pushing the sort of innovation space. And And we caught up with them the other day, and we were like, hey, what would it be like if you didn't have Keeyu today? And I couldn't imagine, because I'd just be putting out fires. I'd have to hire 3-4 more people to be able to manage all this complexity. That's been a good journey, because what we came to understand is that they also have a big B2B business. And whilst we entered in on e-commerce, they're like, hey, I got all this B2B pain, and it's the same thing, right? Like when you take an e-com order, it's got a customer service level to it, customer expectation, but it's the same with a B2B customer. And so now what we've learned from them is the opportunity to build out a B2B offering, which we're launching in February.
Right. Okay. That's going to be huge. And how do you measure the impact of proactive customer service when you don't see it?
Yeah, that is a good question, because, teams have got so good at measuring first response time, resolution
CSAT.
time, CSAT, and all of that. And we sort of come in with a new metric, which is complaint prevention, right? And complaint prevention is how many ops issues did we detect? How many of those ops issues were we able to prevent in real time? How were they resolved positively with the customer? And so, that sort of impact around how many times do we detect and fix something before the customer noticed? How many inbound tickets were never needed to be lodged? How many hours of repetitive work didn't land on the ops team? What's the improvement in on-time fulfillment? We also track other sort of operational metrics, like what was the WISMO ticket volume? How much manual task reduction was there? Time to resolution, cost to serve. And then I think also the most important thing is that retention and customer lifetime value improvement. Because if customers get what they want on time, as promised, always, no drama, they keep coming back, right? Like last year, according to our post, like 1 in 5 shoppers did not get what they want on time, and they had to raise it. That was 123 million hours wasted on customer service calls last year. That's a lot of pain, right? And so in some ways, Keeyu is like an immune system. You don't think about it when it's working, but it's constantly defending the experience. And for brands, that silent protection is often what drives the biggest impact.
Do you find that customers with that proactive service turns them into real advocates? It's almost like, and I'm not selling this for you, I just think it's a really interesting concept around, it's unique to get a proactive piece of communication from a brand to say, hey, we're putting our hands up, this is going to be late, or this is lost, or we don't know what's going on here. We're aware of it. We'll get back to you. We're onto it. Does that come back in terms of public reviews or sentiment at all?
Yeah, well, I think of it, who really nails it well is Amazon nailed it well. Like they really nailed it well. An order might be out for delivery. It's not going to reach you. You get a notification. Hey, sorry, we've let you down, but you're getting it tomorrow. And I think people started shopping online because everyone was like, I don't want to go to the mall, don't want to deal with traffic, don't want to deal with queues. There was all that pain, right? Went online, but the anxiety when you hit buy, you don't know if it's going to come on time. Like, there's no guarantee, right? If brands can consistently deliver on time and keep customers happy, either because they get what they want on time or because you communicate really well with them, I think it's polite. Like, it's like, hey, we've let you down, but we know about it, and this is how we're resolving it, and this is the outcome. They just keep coming back, and out of those 1 in 5 that complained, 75% of the one churned every year, and that's a consistent thing, right?
Ever think that your phone is listening to you and kind of knows you better than anyone else? Well, that's the vibe that Arms of Eve is going for, but way less creepy. The Aussie jewelry brand started like many, sending emails and hoping for the best. Then they found Klaviyo. With hyper-personalised flows, smart send times, and Aussie-based segmentation, they boosted their open rates, built loyalty, and hit a 62 times ROI. As CEO Aaron Langer puts it, there's no one else out there that can do what Klaviyo does in such an easy, succinct, and powerful way. I can also confirm he's not spying on you through your phone. If you are ready to send emails that know your customer intimately, head on over to klaviyo.com/au and see how Arms of Eve scaled by knowing their customers.
I could imagine too, someone who's had the leadership positions that you've had in retail, having a system that lights up in amber or red when there are blockages at certain points of the customer journey would be really great to have at a decision-making level in terms of where you need to invest resources or make significant changes. Do you find that that becomes part of the reporting structure as well?
Yeah, so there's probably three lots of people that engage with our product. We've got customer service people that are using it to resolve issues or deal to prevent this thing and keeping in the loop with the agents. And then you've got the e-commerce team, but it moves up to the C-suite, where the C-suite are actually able to see, well, this is what the health of my e-commerce ops looks like. Oh, that's where a pain point is. Okay, what resources am I going to put on it? And that's the other product that we're busy building out right now, which is the insights, where it's going to be both quant and qualitative, where different people can engage with Keeyu and get full reporting on the performance or the health of their e-commerce operations, be it for a Monday trade meeting, or be it for a weekly wrap, or be it for a monthly board pack, or whatever it is. Different levels of people in the business will be able to get information out of Keeyu that helps them understand where the pain points are and then actually go fix those operational issues. We don't want to be Keeyu is not about firefighting all the time. It's actually about helping our retailers understand the health of their business and then be able to make effective ops changes to avoid that pain.
What are some of the most surprising findings or breakages that you found in the retail businesses that you work with? I could imagine that you've uncovered some pain points that retailers weren't even aware of.
Yeah, I'll give you a real example. One of our customers had a consumer place an order for about $500 for an express delivery. It was really early on when we were testing this out, and the warehouse didn't pick up. It didn't pick it on the same day, and normally that would have just got caught until the customer chased up, or worse, left a negative review. But Keeyu was able to spot that delay early. As I pointed out, it hit amber. And then our agent flagged that the pick and pack SLA had passed and auto-notified the fulfillment team, who then escalated it, got it out the door, and the customer received their order on time. And I remember getting that call from that customer, and they were like, it saved the situation. And the consumer never knew there was a problem. And that's the shift that we're seeing instead of CX teams digging through these point solutions or reacting to complaints. He's detecting those issues midstream and fixes it before it becomes a drama. And we see this across other flows too, like failed payments that get retried automatically, or stuck returns that get nudged through the system. All things ops teams would usually catch too late or not at all.
And those communications that are sent to a customer, are they sent via Keeyu or are they sent via the help desk software?
Via the help desk. So we're not yet to replace help desk, even though we say help desk manage complaints, Keeyu prevents them. We're not going after help desks. In fact, they're an important part of the integration. And why? Because they've got customer data, right? And they've got an easy way to communicate. And so when we identify an ops issue, it creates a ticket in the help desk if there is a reach out to the customer. If it's resolved by us, it doesn't. But as soon as we interact with the customer, it's through the help desk system, and the comms are crafted based on the brand's guidelines, but also on the customer history.
So the customer service team can still see all that communication history to that point. So even if there is a problem after that, they can see that the customer has been updated along the journey.
Yeah, these agents are not fully autonomous. They're being built user in the loop. We certainly very aware that we got to augment teams so that they're doing less manual repetitive tasks, and they're sort of focused on high value interactions with the customer that are driving revenue, not firefighting. And we built Keeyu in a way that you can see every single issue detected in real time, and then it being tracked, and a full sort of history of what system did it go to, where did it gather info, how did it write that email. And if needed, the user is in the loop fully and can follow that whole thing through the whole chain and be across that detail. And if necessary, it loops in the user and says, hey, I'm stuck, I need your help, got to resolve this.
I can imagine you've got 1,000 ideas around how this can get smarter and more automated in time, especially with new AI capabilities going on. If I was to ask you how Keeyu works in 5 years' time, what do you think your vision of it then is?
If we could wave a magic wand and sort of plug in one new data source, I'd say it would be real-time customer intent signals. So right now we track everything operational. So when an order is picked, packed, shipped, returned, refunded. But what we don't have visibility or don't have any idea about is what does the customer expect, or how are they feeling in the moment? Imagine if we could combine that operational data with intent signals like, this is my birthday gift, must arrive by Friday, or I've contacted support before, I expect faster resolution, or this is my third order this month, I'm a high value repeat customer. That context will allow our agents not to just fix issues, but prioritize based on customer impact, because not every late delivery causes the same damage. A delay on a bulk protein reorder might be fine, depending on like how much of a gym bro you are, but like it might be fine if it comes a day late, right?
Yeah.
But a delay on a bridesmaid dress for a weekend wedding, that's kind of a disaster. So if we could plug in real-time intent and urgency and customer context, Keeyu could become even more precise, personal and preventative. But at the same time, I think there's a real opportunity. We're solving a problem of siloed systems. These point solutions that are good at returns or good at carrier integration or good at inventory management. And they've been built out over time, like as e-coms evolved, new categories have been created. Order editing wasn't around 2 years ago. Before that, easy returns wasn't around, or instant refunds, or buy now, pay later. These are all new categories that have just made e-com better and better, but they've added complexity to the order journey.
Yep.
Now we're solving for that complexity. I guess the question is, can an orchestration layer become an end-to-end solution from after the buy button, so after Shopify, till when the customer gets a returns? Is that the real opportunity, just to provide one end-to-end point solution?
We actually spoke about this a couple of weeks ago with Sylvan from Gander and Andrew from Convert Digital around the complexity that is coming through at checkout and post-checkout. Like you said, being able to edit your orders, add more items after checkout. It's like checkout isn't the end of the journey anymore. Do you find that it's adding a lot of complexity for teams in the background?
Yeah, it's certainly a cause to what it's making the shopping experience better, but it's just one more point solution to have to like manage the order journey and one more point of contact. With order editing, it's super awesome in that it gives the customer a bit of flexibility and it saves some time, but it also creates some downstream pressure too, on the warehouse, because their fulfillment times get tighter. It's certainly the more siloed systems there are, the more potential points of failure there are. And that's where we come into play, where we're able to detect those system sync issues or orders aren't moving through as they should.
I love that idea that you said around being able to understand customer intent. And I see that mirroring up nicely with customer service. So, having whatever the future is in 5 years' time, having a customer agent or your own customer help guiding you through the purchase journey, understanding exactly what you want to buy, what you're using it for, what your budget is, to give you something that's really special for you and your purpose. And then almost having that agent that helped you shop drop off and then be your helper within the business after you've placed that order to track it for you and to give you updates if anything's going wrong. It's pretty special to combine that pre and post help in one agent.
Yeah, we're certainly building Keeyu in a way that other agents can engage with our platform and be able to facilitate outcomes working with us. We're really clear on this. Like, there is a bunch of legacy ERP systems out there that are closed and they're like, we don't want you in. There's even warehouses like, we don't want to let you in. And they've got these closed business models. And that's going to be really challenging for them in the future if they're not opening themselves or any solution isn't opening itself up to this onslaught of agents where, our solutions, we also see the opportunity for our solution to become the point contact for all agents and actually channel in agent work in, because we're the only solution that's going to tap into every point solution to be able to solve this problem, right? Like the existing solutions that are triaging customer complaints with AI, they're fixing a complaint and they don't have access to the depth of data that's required to be able to fill this in a proactive way versus reactive. So we're feeling really positive about being able to ensure our platform is able to communicate with other agents to solve those, whether they're shoppers or not.
It's a fascinating space. And we had David Brudnell on a couple of months ago from Decider, and he was talking about agents. And his vision for agents is that we have agents in our business where instead of telling them a task to do in terms of go find all the missing orders and update customers, it's we give each agent a mission or a goal. So if you're a customer service agent, your mission is to increase customer spend by 20%.
Yeah.
So yes, solve the problem, but then we want to upsell them, or we want to introduce them to other things and be a sales agent, not just a customer service agent. Or it could be that you're a marketing agent and your goal isn't necessarily to write meta ads, but your goal is to find X new customers every month. However you
Yeah.
choose to do that, it's going to be pretty interesting when we take that agent approach, especially those integrated agents that you talk about, from being task oriented to outcome driven, whether that's an outcome for the customer or an outcome for the business.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of time, right? Because that's going to require thinking. And I don't think the tech's there because right now it's solving mathematical problems. It can't actually, maybe, I mean, I'm not really like, I've got my bubble and I've got my lane and I'm just so focused.
I've got a lot of little bubbles, but no deep bubbles.
Yeah, yeah, and we're just like we deep in this thing, right? And I remember when we had to go hire engineers to build this, we couldn't find anyone that's done anything to solve this problem. And my guys are like in the fly figuring this out and going, oh, we can do it this way, or do it that way, or do it that way. So I think the specialists will be able to solve the general, across the board. But we certainly focused on what we're doing and have a good understanding of how to solve this problem.
And I guess you're in a really good position too as an orchestration layer that integrates with all the platforms, in that you're not embedded with any individual platform or solution because they're all changing so much at the moment. And so you just remain that orchestration layer that can adapt to whatever is happening and whatever's moving out in the market.
Yeah, exactly. And we see ourselves as Switzerland, so to speak. We're not like we're providing a service to any retailer that has any combination of systems. In fact, today I had a reach out from someone that's on Magento, and we haven't built an integration for Magento. So I pick up the phone. Hey, Tahir, how long is it going to take us? He looks, click, he goes, 10 days. Okay,
Surprised
great.
he didn't hang up on you.
Yeah, and so we certainly feel like that is our USP because that does drive a moat for our business where it took a lot of time. Each integration is 5 to 10 days. So we've got a head start in what we're building with 50 plus integrations. And that took a lot of time with a bunch of engineers in Pakistan for a while to do that heavy lifting initially.
We've all been there, right? Slipping on a great looking pair of shoes only to regret it a couple of hours later. Who knew that blisters could get blisters? Well, the founders of Frankie 4 did, and that's why they've created a line of stylish, podiatrist designed footwear that don't just look good, they actually feel good too. But what began as an online success story quickly stepped into the real world with retail stores opening across the country. And when they moved to the Shopify Plus plan and rolled out Shopify POS in-store, Frankie 4 really hit their stride. Now everything works together, from online browsing to in-store buying. It's one smooth, unified commerce experience for both customers and the Frankie 4 team. And with the Shopify App Store, they're able to test new features quickly to see what works. It's paying off too, with a 170% increase in site visits, a 25% drop in return rates, and more happy feet than ever. Streamlined, stable, seriously stylish. That's Frankie 4 on Shopify. To read more success stories like this, search Shopify case studies online.
Speaking of moats, you've obviously caught the eye of investors and raised some great initial money there. You're not the typical SaaS model that they might back because it's still solution oriented, depending on what retailer is and customizing it for their needs. How did you go about raising money, that initial money with investors?
Yeah, I think the first thought was we got good support from Startmate, and they back ambitious founders that have. When we got into Startmate at the beginning of last year, we had no product, no customers. We just had a problem, and that problem was clearly messy. And it was simple to understand. Hey, I buy something online. It's not guaranteed to arrive on time. I have to complain. And that's painful. And they backed us, I think, also because we're an experienced founding team, lots of experience. They're like, if they believe there's this problem. So we got some traction with them. And then we got traction with awesome early investors like Paul Greenberg, who's got a real good name, and he could clearly see it too. And so that sort of first round of funding was a bunch of angel investors that were backing a founding team.
Mhm.
We had a vision, we didn't have a product, we didn't have customers, but they were backing a founding team to solve a problem that they knew we were close to. And we've recently done a round with institutional investors. Some great VCs came on board. And, the sort of short answer, it was a little trickier because you throw in the word e-commerce and they're like, we don't fund e-commerce businesses. No, we're solving a customer service problem. And so we had to really work hard to get our narrative right. And most investors, I would say, out the gate, they could understand where is my order. They could get that and they get the symptom. But what they didn't always see straight away is the operational complexity behind it.
Mm.
And what helped it was showing how reactive most CX and ops teams still are, even at scale. And we had a sort of demonstrate. I remember us doing this video going, well, this retailer's got 8 brands in 4 geographies. They say 16, 24, 32 storefronts, 32 tabs on their browser they're open, and they're clicking between all of them constantly all day. So, hey, we're pulling all that data. They're not having to do it manually. They're not having to react to issues. And when we showed a few of them a live demo, and when they started speaking to customers, one of them rang up a customer and got really deep into the problem. They're like, oh, this is a real painful problem. Not only is it a painful problem, but it's complex to solve
Mm.
and it's complex to build for. And that's when the investors that backed us this round, they could really see the moat we were building around the messiness of the complexity. Because when we were raising, there was a lot of AI agents coming out, but they were solving horizontal problems, just simple systems to plug into, not a vertical problem that's got vertical data and complexity around resolution. So we really got good support this time around. And for us now, it's about getting more customers, getting it out into users' hands and building that customer base and proving that this is a new way of running e-commerce operations, new way of running post-purchase.
Why didn't the VCs like that you're in e-commerce? What's the stink on e-commerce with VC at the moment?
Just remember, I don't understand e-commerce. Okay, great. Well, the ones that backed us, funny enough, had come from an e-commerce background. One of them had actually built a pet supply business and sold it and then went into VC. And the other was super curious and got us speaking to Dakuba, who became a customer, and got us speaking to Accent Group, and then said, hey, we want to speak to your customers. And when they got talking, they were like, oh, this is not an e-commerce solution. This is a customer service solution. This is solving a real pain.
So obviously you've started with retailers, but do you see Keeyu expanding out into other industries then?
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, we certainly are going to expand into B2B and retail operations, and we're launching that platform next February. We've had some companies reach out to us that are in the logistics space saying, hey, could you work with us? But we feel the e-com B2B retail, that sort of omni-channel offering is where we want to play out initially and build that out. So our view is really we would rather focus on owning everything after the buy button at some point in the future across B2C and B2B. And that underlying problem isn't retail specific. It really is about like fragmented systems, reactive workflows, lack of automation across order life cycles. And that's what Keeyu was really built to solve at the end of the day.
Brilliant.
We're starting with retail because the pain is the loudest, right? But the long-term play is much bigger, which is proactive ops across any transactional business. There's no reason why we can't expand across into other verticals. Yeah.
And question I should have asked earlier, for what's the commercial model here? So, there's a bit of work up front to be done, a bit of investigation, maybe some custom stuff. How do you actually price this?
Yeah, so we don't actually price. We've got no integration fee, no custom fee. It's just pure monthly subscription. And we charge a flat monthly platform fee based on order volume and AI agent usage. So each plan includes a set number of orders up to 5,000, up to 15,000, 30,000, 60,000 a month, for example, and a block of AI agent resolutions, be it 250, 500, 750, whatever it is. Unlimited users, pre-built integrations, depending on the tier. And we've really kept it simple to start with. There's 4 plans, Starter, Grow, Plus, and Pro. And so, for example, a brand doing up to 15,000 orders a month would typically go on to our Grow plan, which is $1,550 a month. And that includes, I think it's like 750 AI agent resolutions in that price. But if they need more agent capacity, say during peak trade, they can top up with extra blocks. So they're only having to pay for what they're actually using. But I think the key piece is really in terms of ROI and how we help teams track is In our platform, you can see how many issues Keeyu's resolved automatically, the time it's saved versus manual workflows, the drop in support tickets, the drop in inbound support tickets, an increase in on-time fulfillment, and also we track customer lifetime value in real time. We display in the platform, you've got X amount of customer lifetime value at risk if you don't fix this issue. So they can see how many issues they've got as a percentage of total orders, the amount of customer lifetime value at risk, and if they fix that issue, how much customer lifetime value they've protected. And so on the platform in real time, you can see all those metrics.
Brilliant. I've got to ask you, and I'm sure it's a loaded question, for the next 12 months, where's your focus? Because I saw that you just released V3 of Keeyu. I can imagine you've got a roadmap of developments that you're going to keep the team busy on. Where are your priority areas over the next 12 months?
So, we launched V3 of the platform about a week ago, and the day it got launched, we put up a countdown clock of 99 days in the office, and each day that clock comes down to our next launch, which is in February, and the team are they come into work and they're like, there's a clock ticking. We've got X amount of
this damn clock.
They quite like it. It's really energizing, for them. But right now we've got the core ecom platform and we've got the AR workflows. And so our next 12 months is to increase the amount of workflows and get them across every single customer. We've got about 25 brands on the platform now. So to get them out to all the customers. And then the next phase, which is February, we've got 3 products launching in February. And that is the insights and the AI assistant. So it's Ask Keeyu, and that's natural language requests instead of workflows. So you'll be able to solve problems by asking questions. And then the B2B part of it. Once we've got that launched in February, we're then going to really work out on how we can automate the onboarding cycle for customers, how we can get them on using agents so that it's low touch, frictionless, and how do we get this platform to become more useful across the business for every single department. So our sort of focus for the first half of next year is to grow our customer base in Australia, launch new products, but at the same time start focusing on building out some customer traction in the US.
Awesome. I've got to ask you, what's better, being a tech entrepreneur or a retailer leader?
I'm going to say neither.
A surfer. A surfer is the best out of the lot.
I think neither, to be honest with you. It's probably not a good answer. Like, I do miss trading, right? Retail's real dirty. You're like in the weeds. Yeah. You're chasing down. It's like every day, it's every transaction, it's every this, it's every that. There is a lot in that, but I'm really enjoying building a tech company because it's a sort of longer term play, right? When you're building a retail business, you can generate revenue from day one. Like, we're not generating a revenue to cover our overheads. That's why we got investment. But it's super fun building something that we know is changing the lives of people. We were at a customer the other day and it's like, hey, if you didn't have Keeyu, what would you do? And she was like, I wouldn't come to work anymore. And then the other one said, oh, I wouldn't go work for another company if they didn't have Keeyu. And it's changed my life. And that's really rewarding when you see the positive impact it has on employee engagement. It's not just like customers are happy, brands are happy, but employees are happy too because they don't come to work firefighting anymore.
Yeah.
They've got all the tools to do their job awesome and they're having really good conversations with customers, not negative conversation.
Love it. There was something that you wrote on LinkedIn last week that caught my eye and I wrote it down here and it was linked to what you said there. AI won't replace people, but it will replace problems. And I think that's a really nice way of thinking about what you're doing here. Not that it's all AI. There's a lot more to it than AI, but not replacing people, but replacing problems because like you said, no one goes to work to firefight and customers don't purchase to follow up. We're doing things that neither party wants to do.
Exactly. I mean, we're taking away the most painful part about e-commerce, the anxiety around not getting something on time, right? No one wants that. Like, we're not trying to re-educate people to shop. We're taking away something that they never wanted in the first place. So tick. And we thought long and hard about this, like really hard. What are we building here? How's it going to have a positive impact? And that positive impact is that these teams are going to be augmented. They're going to have something sitting alongside of them that's doing all that manual, repetitive stuff they don't enjoy doing, checking systems, writing emails, waiting for answers, taking it on the chin from a customer, updating systems. They leave work drained and they're not going to feel that way. When they've got Keeyu supporting them, they're doing less manual repetitive things and they're just having these high value, positive conversations that are driving revenue and that creates more jobs. It doesn't take away jobs. We're not there to replace teams. We're there just to augment them so they can be better at what they do.
Well, you keep this up, you might be Saint Jevon, the patron saint of customer service teams worldwide.
Oh, yeah. My co-founder, Tracy, she's the smart, so I'm just the one hustling. Yeah.
I love it. So if people want to get in touch with yourself, Jevon, or the Keeyu team, what's the best way to go about that?
Yeah, the best way is to head to keeyu.com, which is Keyu, keeyu.com. And we've got a link there that you can book a custom demo with us. We will then run a discovery call and understand the business. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I think my name should be somewhere over here. Click down the bottom there.
We're not that smart. We can't do picture-in-picture links, but we'll put in the show notes.
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn. Not hard to find we search me on LinkedIn, just type my first name.
Love it. Jevon, thank you so much for joining us today. I've got a feeling we are just at the start of this journey. We're going to have this chat again in a few years' time, and we're going to be in a totally different spot with whole new technology maybe already solved the problem. But it's going to look a lot different, but I love the trajectory you're on and your mission in the world, especially for those customer service teams who are battling this every day. So thank you for sharing that with us today on Add to Cart.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me on Add to Cart, Nathan. It's a real pleasure.
Now, if you're anything like me, I'm sure that sparked some big ideas on what the future of customer service and e-commerce operations could look like in the future. I love the idea of talking about how brands can stop firefighting and start forecasting and start fixing problems before they become major, before they even touch a customer and before they even impact our brand. That to me seems like a nirvana that Jevon and the team are really close to executing for a lot of brands. And I'm hoping that in the next few years, we see a real evolution in thinking rather than clearing tickets to preventing tickets. Here are 3 ideas that I took from this episode. Number 1, the idea of preventative customer service. How could I not go past this? But customer service, no one in retail goes into retail to run a customer service team. And no customer buys a product so they can contact you afterwards with a question or a problem. No one wants it, so why are we not trying to make it extinct? I love that Jevon's point that the best customer service is when the customer never has to contact you. But I think it can go a step further. Because the bar is so low on customer service at the moment, but even when there is an impending bad experience coming up, such as a late parcel or a wrong item or a damaged good, that you can get ahead of the game and tell the customer that you recognize there's a problem and that you're in the process of fixing it. That to me not only reduces workload, but has the opportunity to put your brand above others in the mind of a consumer where they're not having to do the work for you anymore. And they're surprised by that proactive approach that isn't common in e-commerce. There's a real opportunity there. Secondly, proactive operational issue resolution. This is the part of the Keeyu system that I never fully understood before our conversation today, even though we'd had a few conversations about it. I never understood that it was also a diagnosis, that it could diagnose internal problems through that traffic light system of green, amber, and red. Being able to understand how big problems are, where the blockages are, and the potential impact of those blockages, that's huge for a team to understand before it gets out of hand. If you can add them to your dashboard and your reporting dashboard, that's going to save you a lot more money than those incremental improvements could and have a bigger impact on your customer experience than anything else. If you can have that simple framework, green mean running smoothly, amber showing friction, and red signaling something that needs fixing now, I can't think of any other report that I'd want to see first. And third, sometimes it's not just a Shopify app problem. We've had amazing solutions come through Add to Cart over the last couple of years where it is as simple as downloading a Shopify app for your store to add a new functionality or a new offering for your customers. And those point solutions are fantastic. But as you heard from Jevon, they've got over 50 integrations now, and they act as an orchestration layer between all the technology for a retailer. This means that often they will have to do some customization, and the implementation process isn't a couple of minutes, but might be a couple of weeks or a couple of months to get it right, to make sure it's solving the right problems. But that upfront effort is worth it to be able to be customized for your business and to prevent all those issues where you would be spending time and money down the track. Sometimes, as much as we would love it, it's not as easy as just an install this app to solve your problem. Sometimes the most value comes from going deep and creating a solution that is just for your business to solve those problems. As Jevon put it, the complexity is where the opportunity hides. Now, if this got you thinking differently around how your ops and your CX teams work together and get ahead of issues, make sure to hit subscribe wherever you listen, whether that be Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to bring you plenty more of great e-commerce ideas and innovations for you for the rest of the year and into next year. And as always, if you are an e-commerce professional, whether you are an independent consultant, a retailer, technology provider, come on over to the Add to Cart community. We've got over 500 e-commerce professionals in there who are helping solve each other's problems every day. And we'd love you to be a part of it. Head into addtocart.com.au to apply to join, and we'll see you in there. As always, a big thank you to our partners Shopify and Klaviyo for supporting Add to Cart and helping our community, keeping these conversations rolling. We'll catch you next time on Add to Cart.